to this personnel policy, they had umpteen jillion vacation hours, and I'm not even joking when I say that.
I understand.
It is impossible for them to take unless they take one day off for 30 years.
Okay. So these are just, these are only the grandfather employees?
Yes. We have one that's close.
That's not or is grandfather?
He's not grandfather.
Okay, so then the division head or department head can work with that employee?
Right.
So these are only the grandfather, and we only have how many?
That are
Grandfather.
It's 3 or 4. I want to say it's Ed Rose.
You don't have to name them. You don't have to.
I don't
just
really, it's
three.
not very many.
But those are the only ones we're working with, right?
Right, but except the ones that they get near and I say something to them.
Right, but
Or deputy
those,
chief does.
but those
Usually are.
department heads can help with those. I'm talking about the ones that are grandfathered, I understand that completely.
Right.
You've got to stay within boundaries.
What is the maximum number of hours, Kathy, in any calendar year that they could, I guess, sell back to the city? I guess that's the
At
proper
this
terminology.
point?
Yeah.
40-hour increments. There is no limit right now.
There is.
And there needs to be.
So this would put a limit of 80 hours.
Based on them got to take
For the
40 hours.
41st.
And what she does, she gives me a sheet, pretty much every pay period, every couple of weeks. And she outlines where everyone in the city is at that point with their hours. And we've got some that won't have any. They won't ever have them because they'll eat them up as they go through and they'll have 0. And then that's a problem, okay? Because you like for them to have something that they could take.
That's more of a problem than not taking.
And then we look at that from a management standpoint, is you're not being real smart with your time, right?
Right.
And that's what she brings to my attention. But this is just to get it down to where they've got to take 40 before they could sell back
Only up to 8.
only up to 8.
Each year. So if the average city employee, and this is just figuratively speaking, if the average city employee made $15 an hour, that'd be $1,200 that we would buy back per employee. And you said there's only 3 or 4 or 5 that would meet that criteria.
That are above the 320.
That are above the 320.
Now, I, for one, I'm not grandfathered in, but can I get up to 320 hours? Absolutely, because I get 6.15 so many hours per pay period. If I let it sit there and people would take it, I would get it. But it would be my loss if I didn't take my time and did not use it before I met my 320 hours.
Any further questions on this?
The back of the hours is just at the salary rate or the
Right.
wage
Yeah.
Right.
rate. And are you recommending they can only do a 180-hour increment, or could they do it in 8 10-hour increments?
Two, top 40-hour increments would be great, because that would be a waste of pay.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get to, because I don't want to play those games out. Then playing, is it on calendar year, fiscal year, or is it when they sold their leave back last?
Yeah, what's it gonna be?
It follows
the budget.
Then that's what I need to know.
And benefits are attached to
You don't pay.
Benefits should not be.
No.
that. Retirement wouldn't. Retirement wouldn't.
One other
because you
thing.
didn't work.
When I retire at the end of my time, and I paid for my 480 hours, that is a bonus, so you're in a higher tax bracket on that amount of money, because that is bonus, it's not your regular salary.
Right.
Is that the same, are you doing the same for the city?
It goes, it's regular salary. It goes on your vacation, as sold as vacation, but it's a separate, totally separate check.
And it's taxed higher?
It's taxed higher.
Okay, that's because it is, yeah, because ours is on our annual leave. So
You don't have
it's not really.
Just take your vacation and then Joe, send me a postcard.
Yeah. Okay, now moving on to new business resolution, outdoor maintenance agreement for North Bridge Street, we need to take care of that. This is on the water, this is on, okay, this is on the flowers, crepe myrtles, on North Bridge Street, along the cemetery. Okay.
Done the entire, starting
Okay, it's gonna be done in some,
2/10 of a mile.
gonna be done in some little plantings, because there's some drainage situations down through there. Then there's blockage, make sure you don't block an area where you might possibly need Mr. Hammond to get in across the sidewalk at some certain point in time. Or any signage that's there already, you can't block any of the signage that's there. But it goes from the gate of the cemetery all the way to the end at Lancaster. Now that's with some crepe myrtles, but there's some smaller plantings around that also. The state has granted permission
They have,
based upon the drawing presented to them.
they have to approve our maintenance and landscape agreement.
Could look real pretty down there. And we have pretty much, there's a grant in place for buying the shrubs and the plants to do this. Okay.
Mayor, I need to speak to that.
Yes, sir?
Again and again, everybody want to take over the district too. Everybody, from the mayor down to whoever's involved, wants to take over the district too. Disrespect. Got this in the package, this is my district, I should have been with it. You've been down there, Gwen, Mayor, help yourself and anybody else, okay? Knowing what's going on, I got it in black and white here, I got to look at it and try to go through it, find out what's taking place. Not that I'm against it. This is my district. If you was a council person, you would want to know from ground level. It's called respect. I get none. I'm gonna voice my opinion, okay? All of this on here, all this is great. It's great. Now, Mayor, why I wasn't informed of this?
I did not pursue the grant.
No, I didn't ask that. Why I wasn't informed? One simple question.
You asked me a question.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to attempt to answer it. I did not apply for the grant. We did not apply for the grant individually. There was an individual who applied for the grant and received the grant. Had a time limitation on it. I think it was the first week, October, what?
October 10th
Okay.
Or what year?
this year.
This year. And so it's either a matter of letting that grant go back or not receiving that grant. All of this took place, and I was under the assumption that you were there.
No, sir, not me.
When we walked North Bridge Street from one end to the other up to the cemetery, and along with this water project that was going in, and we had some people there last week that were concerned about the water, and an attempt was being made to solve that, and finding that a lot of shrubs up and down North Bridge Street were going to have to be removed, and we even looked at transferring some of them somewhere else that we could salvage. And I remember standing at the upper end of Mechanical Street at the big tree, right on the corner. And Mr. Washington, you were there with us at that particular time, and we talked about an extension of taking this on up to Lancaster at that time, and talked with the state personnel that was there. Then I think you were there walking that day. And it was discussed at that point in time about a project such as this, as a beautification type project for the west side. And so the next thing I heard about it was a grant had been received to move forward with doing this. It's really not anything that would be detrimental to that area. I think it would add a lot of beauty up and down through there, the ones of you that travel the eastern bypass, and